The road to WrestleMania begins right now, as we've been talking about for weeks. It's Lita and the Hardy Boys. But before we show you this show, I wanted to mention to you that since we taped the show, the World Wrestling Federation has purchased WCW. We talked about the changing climate, but we did not know for sure, and I think it makes the talk even more relevant. Let's do it. Lita and the Hardy Boys on OTR.
The off-the-record WrestleMania special is brought to you by The Keg Steakhouse and Bar. For great steaks, good friends, see you tonight.
Over the years, OTR has distinguished itself as the place you go for certain things. Things that you can't get anywhere else. The straight goods on sports, a host in skin-tight powder blue sweaters, and of course, behind the scenes talk about wrestling. OTR takes you on the road to WrestleMania with an all-Canadian panel on Friday, Chris, Val, Edge, and Christian, and a big 90-minute special on Sunday, including a one-on-one with Kurt Angle. I don't think I've ever heard him spoke as candidly as he will in that. But we started all here with the Hardy Boys and Lita. It is great to welcome Lita back to the show. Totally psyched that you're here. Lovely woman who talked sports last time. Today we'll talk about wrestling as well. The guys known as the Hardy Boys, maybe the most athletic wrestlers in the world today. Say hi to Matt and Jeff Hardy. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you, Michael.
All right, let's start with you two guys first of all. And the reality of your business and being small guys in a big business. If you're 400 pounds, you got a shtick, right? It's all worked out for you. But you guys are smaller. You don't stand out as much. How did you first get Vince McMahon to notice you?
Well, it was always weird, you know, and it's always like something you kind of didn't believe when we were trying to make it in wrestling. We were like, oh man, we're not going to be big enough, man. We're not big enough to wrestle. So there were so many, you know, big wrestlers, and it was a world of giants. So we just, when we first started WWF, we would do whatever we could to make people remember us, you know, whether it be, you know, take a crazy bump or whatever.
Yeah, I think we were real lucky that right around the time when we were offered an opportunity in the WWF, wrestling went from being 300-pound giants to guys that have more athleticism. And whenever Jeff and I were coming up doing matches, you know, once every 4 or 5 months with WWF, we would do anything we could do in a match, you know, whether it was doing some, you know, neat flip or taking a, you know, daring bump, so that people would sit back and say, hey, you know, that guy named Hardy, he's he tries hard. I like him. I hope he makes it one day. You know, just anything to generate a little interest in us.
Let's talk about the big bumps, which obviously helped all of you guys. And Lita, even though you haven't voiced it yet, one of the things that you see when you see Lita in the ring is that you do stuff that other women don't do, have never done, and maybe never will do. Where does it stop, though? When you set a standard that is so high, after a while, when you keep doing it over and over again, it starts to just look normal.
Right. Well, personally, I think, now, you can definitely tell in my approach to the wrestling business, and Jeff is slowly getting there as well. I mean, the next thing for us, people care about us as people just because they know we put our bodies on the line for so long. The next thing we need to do is have them care about our personalities. And that's where we've got to go from now on.
Mm-hmm. And there's so much room for that, you know. It's great to be known just for wrestling. I mean, like, we don't have to talk. People love watching us wrestle. So, right now.
Right. I think, too, it's always up to us to draw our own lines, because we feed off of each, you know, we'll almost excite ourselves by pulling off something and be like, oh, I don't think I was going to do that. Oh, I bet I could do it with just like this and from even higher or even further out. And I mean, you know, we do have to try to control ourselves a little bit, but at the same time we kind of get carried away and continue it a little bit.
Yeah, because, I mean, let's face it, you are in the business of giving people what they want. When you give people what they want, I mean, Vince talks about this all the time. Give them what they want, you'll be okay. And so far, you've been okay. But there's always a higher ladder out there you can find. There's always another flip that you can do. And I'm wondering, how do you limit yourself? Because I know your drive is to give the folks what they want. But what you don't want to do is give them a broken and battered Hardy Boys and Lita.
Right. Well, you know, I mean, I think, you know, both myself and Jeff, our mentality has always been, you know, you only get one go around in life, and we got a chance to come to the WWF, and we were going to give it everything. And if we went back, I wouldn't change a thing. But, you know, there is a point where your body can only go so far, and you kind of have to, you have to take, you know, what you've got right now and everything you've built off taking big bumps and ladder matches and whatnot, and you have to take it a step further. And like I said, the next thing for us is about personalities where, you know, people want to see us for the people we are.
Because as men, you're wrestling, and there's guys out there who maybe don't do it as well as you, but who do the same sort of thing. But Lita, I'm wondering what your approach is, because you're with these guys that do these unbelievably athletic things, that take huge chances all the time. Even you admit it, right? I mean, you take some chances.
Absolutely.
How much does that force you maybe into doing stuff that you're not 100% comfortable with, but because you're with guys who are laying it all on the line?
Oh, totally. That's never it at all. They help me so much. I'm always wanting to do more. I was never a gymnast. I was never really, I was kind of learning on the spot from them and, from watching tapes and stuff. So, I'll kind of come up with an idea of like, how do I do this, guys? And they'll help me out. I mean, they help me out being so much with them, trying to learn more. And I'm always trying to push the envelope. And I'm not a gymnast, and I don't know. That stuff really doesn't come natural to me. So it's kind of a little awkward for me to try to pull off stuff. I just enjoy doing it.
And go ahead.
I was just going to say, and as dangerous as a lot of the things look that we've done, I mean, we've never done anything that we don't feel comfortable doing. I think all the risks that we've taken have been calculated risk and things that we know we can pull off without seriously injuring ourselves.
Well, your company's got a fine balancing act, right? The WWF. On one hand, when you go out there and you really lay it on the line and you do stuff that's new and fresh, that's great for their business. But on the other hand, your performers are your most valuable commodities. Do they pull you back? Is there anyone at the WWF saying to you, hey, be careful, guys?
Absolutely. I'll tell you a story. There was one time when I don't know if people would remember this. If people follow wrestling real close, they will. Where when the McMahon-Helmsley era first started, and Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys had the big respect thing going on after the first ladder match, and we were going into a match that was going to be a cage match that we were kind of forced into as we were friends at the time. And Vince actually pulled us to the side and a couple other people and said, "Hey, I want you guys to cut back a little bit. Don't go out there and kill yourselves. There's only so many bumps on your bump card. Is a little expression we like to use." And he definitely said that. Hey, slow down a little bit. Pick your points. And whenever you go out and take a big bump, make it mean something.
And Jeff, did you guys pull it back?
Yeah, oh yeah, totally. Because we realized that, at first we didn't really think about it. It was like doing whatever we, could to get recognized. But now that we're kind of needed and we feel comfortable.
I'll interject here though. Yeah. He says he slowed it down though, and then he'll get like just something, I don't know what it is, and then all of a sudden in the middle of a house show for no reason he'll just go flying out over the top and smack right on the concrete, and me and Mash are going, Jeff.
Right.
What are you doing?
Right. He's like such an adrenaline junkie. I mean, he understands, the point, but Jeff gets his mind set on one thing, and he's quite a unique individual. I mean, you have to spend a lot of time around him to understand him. But if he gets something in his mind that he wants to do, I mean, he'll do it, and there's no turning back.
Now, when you look at him, do you see any Mick Foley? Because that was the thing about Mick Foley was that there's stuff that he would talk about ahead of time that there's no way he would even think of himself doing. But when he got in the ring, he became possessed with the idea, I got to do something no one's ever done before.
Absolutely. Jeff Hardy has that quality.
I think that, too, I can't speak for everybody, but, I mean, I'll feel it, too. I'll just kind of, like we're talking about calculated risk, you'll go through the move, but not all the way, because you'll say, well, I can, you'll just climb up to the top and kind of envision it and say, and fill this with 20,000 people and I'll be able to complete this. But right here, I've heard, Matt, you say it before on the TLC video, you showed me through a table right now and I'm not going to want to do it. Once I get out there, though, I won't feel it, but, it'll be hard for me to get after it when there's nobody in the arena.
How much of a different approach is there between a house show and you'll do what, a couple of hundred of those a year?
A house show, we'll probably do 120, 125
house shows a year, a TV show, and then the top of that, which is WrestleMania.
Right.
Are you more likely to do something that's going to get you in real trouble physically at WrestleMania than you would at a given house show on a Tuesday night?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, if we would say no, that wouldn't be an honest answer. I mean, WrestleMania is the plateau. It's like being in the in the seventh game of the World Series. I mean, you want to make it dramatic. You want to give it your all. And WrestleMania will be the big platform for the Hardy Boys this year.
All right, let's take a break. Got lots to talk about. Stone Cold and Deborah, China and Triple H, Matt and Lita, angles, weddings, and sex. When we return, and make sure you go to tsn.ca/OTR for all our extra wrestling features, green room exclusive, web polls, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria on our website. Stay with us.